Hello, I am James Rollins, and today it's the WNR408. It's the WWE Elimination Chamber 2022. But I am not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by Jaxie. How you doing?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, James. Welcome back, me. Ready to jump straight into this?
Well, we are, like I said, the regulars on the podcast. Unfortunately, I had to put Monty through NXT last time, and now it's time for WWE. And this is not, well, I mean, Jaxie's always great to have on, but when WWE there's an edge to it, you know, when we're watching it, I think it would be fair to say.
I mean, there's always going to be ups and downs when it comes to watching wrestling content. We clearly have been enjoying other content more than what WWE is currently giving out. That being said, we are still consistently reviewing and watching this stuff. So we might sound like we're either, annoyed with the company or anything like that, but we still value the wrestlers that are working their butts off in that company, and we will still watch them and actually review it. So I hope you guys still enjoy it.
No, without doubt. And again, it's the commitment of kind of what we watch as well. So, and especially, me watching 3 hours of Raw. Like anybody listening or anybody, you before you come to us. We like I said, we put in the time first to have a go at it. There's nothing worse than saying I didn't see it, but you know what I mean. But anyway, we have got a premium live event to look at. But before, we've got Raw and Smackdown since the Royal Rumble. Probably the most. Can you think of a Rumble event that was more poorly received, especially the men's Rumble match? I know it's a long time to look back.
No, I mean, I actually had this conversation with Gina as well with Purple Pain. We both had this discussion. As you know, we were together watching this as well. And I definitely think out of sort of the modern era, this has probably got to be one of the poorest Royal Rumbles, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, even since doing the podcast since 2015, and the first Rumble that we had on the WNR was Triple H winning. We never thought that'd get beaten for badness, and I think this year has taken the biscuit. But we'll deal with the fallout. So we got January 31st Raw, and we found out straight away Lashley will be defending the WWE title inside the Elimination Chamber. Of course, Bobby was already out there. Seeing the Beast arrived in his gear, looking like he was ready for a fight, and challenged Bobby for a match here tonight. Bobby Lashley obviously turned this down, and then Adam Pearce just put Brock Lesnar in the Elimination title match for the WWE Championship. So no matter what Bobby Lashley had to even if he said yes, he was still going to get Lesnar no matter what. So Elimination the crowd were really into this. And it's funny because Brock was complaining to Bobby about manager getting involved and being in control. Isn't that Brock Lesnar for the past 20 years?
Basically. I mean, he just does. He can't actually even tell that this is just like what he's getting, like the same treatment back, really. Yes. Everyone else has had to suffer through. So, it's about time that he got a bit of his own medicine given back to him.
Well, we see Ripley beating Nikki Ash. Of course, we'll see plenty of rematches. Miz beating Dominic, and then Kevin Owens losing to Austin Theory for one of the 4 remaining spots in the Elimination Chamber. Poor KO. And speaking of people that can't catch a break, Ziggler lost to Dawkins as well. Otis prevented Riddle from winning the scooter race. Yes, I did say that, against Chad Gable. If you couldn't win this, we've got a chance of having a Rumble, So Otis and Riddle ended up having a match, and Pearce made it Elimination Chamber qualifier, and Riddle won. Belair then beat Carmella. And then for the first time in over 2 years, AJ Styles and Rey Mysterio had a match. This time spot for Elimination Chamber. AJ won. Good one. And then Rousey closed the show by coming out to a big pop. And even though they treated like a face, she didn't really act like it. She's been such a thing about which champion to challenge at Mania, and she has unfinished business with both. Lynch came out and mocked Rousey a bit. She made her way to the ring. She asked Rowdy who she plans to challenge. Rousey responded by taking Lynch down with an arm drag and promising to ask a question Friday. And then after all this, Lita came out and gave Lynch some compliments and challenged her to an Elimination Chamber match. My God, Ronda was terrible in this segment, but Lita come out, actually saved it. And it's crazy. Well, of course, we get onto the match later, but Lita's probably one they worried about the most.
Yeah. I mean, again, I didn't actually see this interaction between them. However, I just think that is Lita's just one of those people that can really draw on a crowd. She's got that sort of that real status about her. And I think that right now Ronda is hit and miss with different people. There's some that actually really are enjoying seeing her back. There's some that just don't understand why she was brought back and just kind of shoved straight in the picture as we all expected. But we'll kind of have to see how things keep going, how things progress for Ronda. However, that being said, the continuous roar and pop that Lita gets every time her music hits is just never going to change, and I love that.
Yeah, they should really have more faith in kind of these, I'll say, older, women's wrestlers coming back and actually delivering. They do it enough with the men's, and there seems to be, they come back for one match or one spot. Let's have a run, But like I said, we'll get on that in a bit. We're still dealing with Rumble fallout, and I've got an issue of apology because I defended Shane McMahon on the Rumble show, not knowing what was going on backstage. But apparently, he booked the Rumble match as well, and was going to have a big WrestleMania match. Clash with a lot of people, Brock Lesnar being the biggest one, apparently, and was then let go. Was this a storm in a teacup? Well, apparently, yeah, Shane wanted to come out a different number, and Brock said, look, no, you come out at this time, and this is what we do. Again, it's all rumours and hearsay until they release a WWE 24 documentary about it. But, like I say, it's interesting that... Yeah, and then the rumours about Shane going to AEW, which won't happen, but... Shane McMahon, I didn't think he was that egotistical, so I'd like to apologise. Looks like you were right, Jaxie.
I mean, I kind of knew this when he booked himself to win the Best in the World Cup. So this wasn't surprising to hear. Well, I mean, I sounded surprised just a minute ago because I didn't know that he had collided with Brock, but I knew that he was trying to have some say as to where he was going to be placed within the Royal Rumble picture, and sulked by it like a little bitch when he didn't get the spot he wanted. But it's like, you're not a full-time wrestler. None of us wants to see you at WrestleMania.
I honestly, yeah.
What is actually, I'd love to ask Shane this, what makes you think anyone wants to see you? And that is not meant to be as an insult, but seriously, what makes you think that anyone was genuinely ecstatic at seeing you come out in the Royal Rumble and genuinely, honestly wanted you to win the Royal Rumble? Do you know anyone? That's a question for Shane. You can find me at Jaxie Scarlett if you'd like to answer me.
Well, the thing is, I thought Vince, would tell Shane basically what to do and put in that position, but obviously you're not going to turn it down if you're giving it. But the kind of ego from Shane, from all the other stories we've heard about the McMahons, that Shane was kind of the most well-adjusted, so it's a bit weird now, maybe as time goes on, and like we said, power goes to everybody's head, especially if he hasn't got any. But then again, but that is another discussion for another day, and what is he doing at the moment. We move on to SmackDown February 4th, and of course we get Roman Reigns kicking off SmackDown. When doesn't he? With a long promo, to be fair, talking about the Rumble and
I'm not going to explain.
Well, it's too much of a good thing, maybe sometimes. The Beast, he made the Beast look like a fool. He said Reigns does not need protection from Lesnar, but vice versa. And then Heyman officially acknowledged Reigns and demanded Oklahoma City do the same. Instead, Goldberg's music played, and the Hall of Famer did enter to a big pop. He came face to face with Tribal Chief, and just when it looked like he was going to acknowledge him, he said, "You're next." So Goldberg and Reigns, 2 years in the making. Were you excited by this?
Over the moon. I'm absolutely ecstatic. Can you not tell? No, again, I knew this was going to happen. I knew that there was a lot of talk about Goldberg being around and things like that. So I kind of knew we were going to get it, but it still doesn't mean that I was ready to actually receive it. So when it came out, I just rolled my eyes and was like, Okay, let's just get this over and done with, shall we?
Yeah, and it's like what it's just so weird that they do it. You know, we're thinking we're going to get Rollins and Reigns again.
Exactly. Like that was a potential issue, but again, one of my biggest issues right now is that you've just when I say you, this is Vince. You've just pushed Big E back into a tag team sort of picture again and forgotten all about him when we could have easily had Roman v Big E even at WrestleMania, and that would have been amazing.
Okay, and also, whilst you bring it up, because I will forget, you know, we get like the Elimination Chamber match in itself. We've seen, obviously, as you just spoke about, Austin Theory. Kevin Owens not in it. You speak about someone like Finn Balor as well, of course. What about Edge? Where is Edge? Does he not want to be at WrestleMania? You know,
we haven't seen him, right? Like, he's not been seen since his match at Royal Rumble. Yeah. Am I right in thinking that? Because if I've not seen him,
no, he's up until Elimination Chamber, not seen at all. He could have been in the Chamber match there. He said making it more interest. Have Big E in that as well.
He's not injured, right?
No. I mean, like I said, you know, the thing is that obviously they've set up a WrestleMania match for him, but the thing is, why not have him in the Chamber? Well, obviously we get onto that after everything at this moment in time.
You might know more than me at this point, but yeah, you are right. Like, I mean, if anyone was going to be able to put on a really entertaining Chamber match, it would have been Edge. He's been part of it before. Exactly. It would have been great. It would have been great to see him just kind of amongst the likes of, you know, Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, all of that. That you could just imagine some of the dream matches you'd get out of that. But again, we were cheated out of that. We were cheated out of Kevin Owens in it.
Yeah, but even Finn Balor, yeah, Randy Orton could have been it. And I know, like, Orton doesn't need another chance, but surely more competitive than Riddle. And you could have the Edge Orton moment if you wanted to do that as well in the Chamber.
Oh, yeah. For God's sake, they just missed out on so many good moments. Damn you, WWE.
Well, we'll carry on with SmackDown anyway. We get Ricochet beating Ridge, and then Ridge and Sheamus beat Ricochet and Cesaro. Now that is 50-50 booking, everybody. Jimmy Uso beat Eric. Elias defeated Natalia via count-out. McIntyre made his way out. And in the middle of the promo, revealed he told doctors that they doubted his ability to compete at the Rumble and WrestleMania, and he told them to kiss his ass. He then left Moss and Corbin Lane. Nakamura beat Mahal. New Day defeated Los Lotharios. And then Sonya Deville joined Charlotte Flair in the ring for the night's main event promo. And it revealed to the Queen that the Royal Rumble winner Ronda Rousey has chosen Raw champion Becky Lynch. Flair said she made the right choice, and she was worried about Rousey if she chose to face her, because the matchup of mums at WrestleMania is damn easy in the fight in the Queen. Flair offered up a match to Sasha Banks, which was quite a surprise, until Rousey made her way to the ring. Says a lot of she said, he said going on. I didn't fly halfway across country in a nice storm to have a chat. You're not special. You were just first. I will see you at WrestleMania. Deville then attempted a cheap shot, only to find herself on the receiving end of an armbar for staring Flair down. Lots to unpack there. First up, though, Charlotte and Ronda. Charlotte is getting another WrestleMania event. Thoughts?
Do you expect me to be pissed off or anything like that about it? Because I'm quite honestly, I am not shocked by this at all. I am not shocked by the fact that she still has her title. She was just handed it for this specific moment to have another WrestleMania moment. I really couldn't have cared less.
I mean, it was a bit of a shock because even at the we were speaking about on the Rumble review, and I mentioned Charlotte, and not many people could believe. And this is, like I said, they want Charlotte this year, they want Lynch next year, and I can't not see this being the main event either. So, and it's interesting with the Fox executives. I know we don't really get it much here in the UK, but they've got, you know, I know Lesnar jumps between the two shows, but Reigns and Rousey on one show is pretty big for them as well. So you wonder if there's going to be maybe a little bit of trouble there. But we'll move on to Raw anyway. And the show opened with Alpha Academy and RK Bro in the ring for the final round of the competition, a quiz bowl. Yes, a quiz bowl. They went back and forth and see the answers. They were tied at 4-4 going to the final category, but luckily Randy Orton knew the number of grams in an ounce, so RK Bro won. And that got a big pop from the crowd. I wonder how many grams are in announced. And after Orton and Riddle left, the Street Profits came out, got Gable to agree to a match with Alpha Academy 1. Then we see AJ beating Priest clean, so he should get his shot after Kevin Owens. Miz TV with the Mysterios, and then Dom beat Miz. Blair beat Nikki Ash. Owens beat Theory in an actually really good match, and the crowd was so behind Kevin Owens that even the commentators had to say, oh, Owens has kind of got a reputation here, which is great to see, because Owens is one of the few guys, let's speak positive for a second, that can elicit a great response from the crowd, no matter what his position, and he's been putting some bad...
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. I think that, Kevin Owens is one of those workers that will always make the best out of shitty situations that he's put in. And he seems like the type of person that really just kind of puts his all into it, even when he's not actually into it. So, I mean, it's always great to see Kevin Owens, and I love the responses he continuously gets, even when he's being a heel.
I think without that, one of the shining lights, I think we'll look at this maybe WrestleMania about the kind of guys who seem to be really enjoying themselves in WWE and actually smashing it, and Owens is definitely one of those. We then see a Lita Lynch segment, which is good stuff. Lita got the last laugh with a twist of fate and a moonsault. That was awesome. Lita is fantastic. Doudrop beat Liv Morgan. I guess that push is over now. And then the main event was Riddle v Rollins, which turned into RK Bro versus Owens and Rollins, because, it's what they do.
You can't have a singles match with a member of a tag team without following up with the tag team match after. It's blasphemy if you don't.
Well, Orton hit an RKO on Owens after as Rollins walked away. And then we see SmackDown February 11th. Deville kicked off the evening nursing a left arm injury. Of course, she announced she's trying to get Rousey fined $100,000. And then apparently Vince McMahon writes really long emails. That's basically the top and bottom of it, saying Deville it will abuse her power, anything like that. And getting involved in the main event or Naomi versus Charlotte title match, her job will be put in serious jeopardy. Which is not getting fired, but serious jeopardy, you don't want that really. And of course, Naomi came out.
That was bullshit, because she should have been in serious jeopardy from abusing her power throughout the consistent times she has abused her power. But then again, our version of, this is abusing your power, and Vince's version of abusing power is two different things.
Well, we see Naomi coming out and slapping Deville to close the segment, which is always good to see Naomi actually, with a head held high after so long. Lost the Fares, then defeated Kofi Kingston and Big E. So Big E's title run is just... I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't hate Lost the Fares. These are two former single, United or heavyweight champions. Two former WWE champions losing to Los Faros in a throwaway match on SmackDown. And then we see Michael Cole interviewing Roman Reigns going against Goldberg. And Reigns saying, if I was in WWE, everybody would be winning because they'd still be in business, which is funny. And he laughed off Brock Lesnar before saying he was going to Goldberg. Reigns has no respect. Reigns has no respect for Goldberg, but Roman here, I think, played on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why, but the way that he said it just made me laugh so much. I was just like, I think that's my favorite dub ever. I just want to go up to people that annoy me now and just go, do you know what? I'm gonna Goldberg. I just thought that was a brilliant line. It was great.
It was good stuff. Natalya defeated Aliyah. Zia Lee made the save after. We get a Zayn, Boogs, and Naka promo segment. Corbin beat Cesaro as well. And right in the middle of SmackDown, we had a lovely Rocky Johnson tribute as well, particularly celebrating Black History Month with The Rock narrating. But when WWE try, they make the best stuff in the world, and that is why we get so annoyed, I would say.
Yeah, because this was just done perfectly. I think actually having The Rock narrate it as well just kind of gave it that sense of familiarity as to who he was talking about, obviously being his father. You could hear the amount of pride that The Rock had whilst like dealing with this whole promo. And I couldn't help but think to myself, do you know what? This is exactly how I sound whenever I big up my dad. When my dad's not mad at me for swearing on my podcast. But hopefully one day he'll forgive me.
Oh, that it was like I said, really, really good stuff. And anybody interested in learning a little bit more, maybe about Rocky Johnson or the Rock, the young Rock, has been around this venue for second season. It's actually quite good. Like I said, give it a chance. It is good, Young Rock. So that's something to watch. And then Michael Cole sat down with Goldberg, who dismissed the idea of Roman Reigns beating him in Arabia. He vowed to beat Reigns, take the Universal Championship, and the trilogy like no one wants. Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. What about if that had happened? The internet would have exploded.
Yeah, probably.
Well, we see the SmackDown Women's Championship on the line next with Naomi versus Charlotte. This was a fantastic match. Naomi tried for a rear view towards the end, only for Flair to chop block her and deliver natural for the win. Naomi unloaded a braggadocious DeVille, only to be jumped by Flair, and Rousey made the save, clearing the ring. But what a bloody match this was.
Yeah.
It was probably one of my favourite, maybe my favourite women's match this year. That's how good
really?
it was. Honestly, like...
It was really decent. You have to admit, both women gave it their all, and you could just tell.
It was bad. And Naomi is when she's given stuff to do, she does it well. And like we spoke about with Kevin Owens,
She's just received that crowd so much, like the crowd are really behind her.
I think without a doubt, that's something that's working there. Even though in a perfect world, it would be looking towards her at WrestleMania rather than, of course, Charlotte and Rousey. But again, that's another thing. And then Valentine's Day. Raw, February 14th, or as I called it, Monday. All the men's chamber combatants had a promo. Brock left Theory laying. Dirty Dogs. Ziggler was distracted by Ciampa while the Profits finished off his partner for the win. Of course, we're going to get Ciampa versus Ziggler on NXT. Priest retained his US title over AJ. Lynch and Lita contract signing. Becky was a bit bedraggled and begged Lita not to make her destroy her idol in Lita, which was, again, this is what Becky is best at. And it really worked here. And then Omos. Do you remember Omos? He killed Alexander and Benjamin.
Oh yeah, didn't they come out to like the Hurt Businesses, and even though they made it very clear that they're no longer part of the Hurt Business. What?
I know. It makes you scratch your head sometimes, and it's all right us making a mistake, but not when they're in creative or putting the actual stuff together. Gauntlet match
I
for
just think to myself, do the creatives not like actually look back on some of their previous work and go, oh no, wait, that's a continuity error right there.
No. Obviously, with what we can see laid down. Gauntlet match for the final spot in the chamber. We get Ripley and Nikki Ash started. Ray eliminated her, then Morgan, and then Doudrop. Finally, Bianca Belair came out. Ripley managed to avoid a KOD, but after a few, again, these two women, this is what we should be focusing on. The closing segment, not this year's Rumble, the previous year, I think, with Ripley and Belair as well. And I still remember how good it was. And these two women should be tearing it up on pay-per-view rather than kind of throwaway match on Raw,
I quite happily would have enjoyed having Bianca as the champion, going all the way past SummerSlam and not having that fuckery with Becky just coming in and winning it back. Actually having Bianca go all the way up to WrestleMania and actually creating this big feud between her and Rhea Ripley. That would have been such a great WrestleMania match. But no, we have to go with at least one of the four horsewomen in a title match.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And Belair, Ripley have all been fucked over, like I said, by the four horsewomen as well. Of course, with Oscar involved in that. But Ripley here was fantastic. Even though she didn't win, she's 45 minutes of action and really, really good. So you talk about, again, a positive, giving women time or giving women's match time. 45 minutes here. Really, really good. Bliss was then announced as the sixth woman in the chamber match. So were you disappointed that it was Alexa Bliss, or are we just getting through it?
I mean, I feel like I was disappointed, but it literally comes from a point of view of me being like, Oscar's not back yet. Is Oscar going to be the same? No. I'm just, false hope, giving myself false hope.
And also, there's a thing that happened on Raw, and I just want to get your opinion on it, because apparently this happens to a lot of people, between Reggie and Dana Brooke, because Dana Brooke just wanted to be friends with Reggie, and Reggie obviously wanted a little more, and when he didn't get what he wanted, he pinned her for the 24 title. Now, again, I'm a bit weird because I'm just usually friends. But is there normally an ulterior motive when it comes to men and women that I'm just not seeing? Am I that naive?
I think if that's the case, then I'm probably quite naive as well. I've got a lot of guys that are friends. And I've never kind of come across the point where I've had to actually explain to my friend who's a guy, you're my friend, because it automatically just kind of stems that way. So, I'd like to think that men are getting better in terms of like reading the signs, just like maybe women are. But I think, half the time people are so blind when it comes to advances or lack thereof that, especially for Reggie, I haven't seen all of the interactions between him and Dana, but it really wouldn't surprise me if he got the wrong end of the stick and actually thought she was into him.
Yeah,
when she's really into him.
But even if he did, it gives him no right to attack her and take her championship that she holds on so tightly. So, guys, if you're listening...
Did he really attack her?
He rolled her up for the pin, which is... I couldn't do that on the street. If I did that to you on the street, I'd be arrested.
No, of course. But if we're talking just the fact that it is WWE that we're talking about, I totally use my womanly ways to then roll that pin any man for that title, and I'll be like, yes, come and get me, bitch, and run off.
I was just saying,
but then again, I also I probably wouldn't use my womanly ways to like flirt and get him into thinking, that I wanted anything more. I am not the type of person to lead someone on just for my own gain. That's just not. I'm just too. I've got no sort of game face. Like, my face really reads my emotions very well, so I probably suck at that.
But we didn't even plan this, and what's wonderful about it is actually you're defending Reggie and I'm defending Dana, and we didn't even try it.
I didn't even mean to. It didn't even mean to be like that. But you know what? I'm glad that we were both defending the other one. That means that is a split review right there.
That's brilliant. Well, we get Alpha Academy ruined the Broga party. Yes, a Broga party. And then beat the Mysterios thanks to Miz. I'm not making... I could write something like they dressed in pink elephant suits and won the ladder match, and you'd be like, yep, that happened.
Everyone would actually believe you on that.
And then the main event, we get Seth Rollins versus Randall, which is, of course, a rematch for one of the greatest RKOs in history back in WrestleMania 31 off the top of my head. Orton hit an RKO, but Alpha Academy started to come to the ring. Riddle tackled them from behind, and Orton joined him in the aisle. When he got back in the ring, Visual hit a stomp for the win. And Rollins is on a bit of a roll, actually. And after he hit the stomp, he waited 11 seconds for the pin. The stomp is the new pedigree, everybody.
Yep.
And then we move on to news. And I was speaking to Monty about this, and we'll speak more on the live show. But it was crazy because one of the news stories coming out, one of them was Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, apparently coming out of retirement. That's still news. I mean, that is incredible, considering we've not seen him since WrestleMania 19. That is probably the biggest wrestler to come back, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, I thought this was just a joke at first when I saw it, because I think I saw someone tweet about that on Twitter. And I was just like, oh, this is just like a fan thing. And then I was just looking on YouTube, and I could just see like Wrestle Talks, What Culture Wrestling, all covering this story. And I was like, what? I'm not going to deny that. I quite happily would be very entertained to see Austin match. I don't think that he should come back consistently. I think this should be a one-off, but I actually really would enjoy it.
And the thing is, this news story kind of got lost because at the same day, Cody Rhodes left AEW, which shook the entire world. So what were your thoughts on Cody leaving AEW, and do you see him joining WWE?
I was along with the rest of the world when this happened. I was actually in shock. I did not see this coming. I did not see them even like already discussing like whether or not he could return to WWE being a thing. I would not have, I would not have said that Cody and Brandy would have left AEW. You wouldn't have caught me saying that at all until I heard the actual news itself. So this came as a complete and utter shock.
I will say this now, because obviously we're doing the Chamber review, but after Chamber, we saw on Raw Edge coming out and issuing a challenge for WrestleMania, and he said he doesn't care if you're phenomenal. And then WWE's Twitter
is he calling out AJ Styles?
Well, apparently so, but Twitter machine, WWE's one, said about Edge's open challenge, it could be all smoke. So if it is smoke and mirrors, you know what that means as well with Cody Rhodes.
Wait. I was about to say, it wasn't like smoke and mirrors like Cody Rhodes' entrance music or something.
Say, oh, you're only smoke and mirrors. Oh, you're only smoke and mirrors tonight.
Do it. There we go. We just got our one and only karaoke from James himself. That was great.
Welcome every week to James Sings Wrestling Hits.
No, seriously though, like that's come as a shock to me. First of all, I haven't seen Raw or heard any news about Raw, so good to know that Edge is still back and he's not injured or anything. Who is he going to face at Mania? I got quite excited at the thought of AJ Styles facing him, but now you just kind of brought up Cody, and I'm like, oh god, they're going to do Cody and Edge, aren't they?
It is going to be so interesting. That is one of the interesting things. And also another interesting thing from Raw as well is Finn Balor did return. So he looks like he's going to be in the US title hunt come WrestleMania. So there's two things.
I did see on Twitter that Ciampa, he teamed with Ciampa or something last night.
Yes, yeah, he teamed with Ciampa to beat the Dirty Dogs. And of course...
got like another tag team there.
Well, as we're recording tonight, NXT's probably main event will be Tommaso Ciampa versus Dolph Ziggler. So then we'll afterwards with that. But like I said, we've still got the Elimination Chamber to go, and we've still got the last SmackDown, the final SmackDown, which was pre-taped because it was all in Saudi Arabia. And I think everybody saw the contract signing, the fumble with Charlotte going head first. And WWE, to their credit, basically aired the whole thing. Different camera angle, of course, with Rousey and Naomi signing the contract over Flair and Deville, with the babyface standing tall. Rousey will have one arm in a match, but this was okay because Rousey was in babyface mode. What do you think of the opening segment?
I think it obviously it did its job. I think that Ronda has definitely kind of gone very much babyface. But again, is it just me, or did it kind of feel like all of the women in that ring are forgetting the whole reason why they're actually in that ring is because of the mistreatment of Naomi? But yeah, it didn't seem like any of it was really about Naomi and the mistreatment. It was just more about Charlotte running her mouth and Ronda wanting to get like the sort of quick shot in. So it was okay for me. It was fine.
Well, like I said, and this SmackDown seemed fine, like we had Ricochet defeating Sheamus, even though these two have wrestled like numerous times for no reason, they always deliver.
Right there.
And after the match, with frustrated Sheamus shoved Rich Holland to the mat, teasing dissension. I mean, already, it's not it's 2 months.
Baffling. Absolutely baffling.
We get Ivar defeating Jey Uso via disqualification, so he couldn't even get a pin over him. So what do you think the hopes were for Chamber? Drew's
disqualification because they stole their masks. Are you serious?
When you say it like that, it sounds stupid. Talk about stupid. We had Drew's promo. I love Drew McIntyre, but I wonder why creative hate him and they've put him in this situation. I just don't know. And then probably one of the best thing on SmackDown, the Intercontinental title match, Shinzuki Nakamura versus Sami Zayn. Of course, these two men faced back at TakeOver for Nakamura's very first WWE match. It looked like Seth like Kinshasa, but Zayn bowed to the floor and targeted the knee of his opponent, wrapping it around the ring post and back in. Zayn kicked Nakamura's leg out from underneath him and scored the title off a roll-up. I thought there was great chemistry between these two, and perfect mid-carders as well, aren't they?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was great. It just kind of reminded me as well, because we've not seen Shinsuke Nakamura in like a massive battle that doesn't have Rick Boogs on the side that we know is going to just easily, cause a distraction or something. It genuinely was just really enjoyable to watch these two do what they do best. I don't think either man can have a bad match. But yeah, this was just incredibly entertaining to watch for me.
And when I say mid-card as well, they could main event, and it's what the IC title is about. These two guys should be elevated from this to then go for the WWE Championship. And I loved Zayn mocking Nakamura getting a little bit of revenge, but it looks like he said Boogs is a star in that. And then the main event segment, Roman Reigns wanted New Orleans to acknowledge him, and then Roman Reigns came out thinking there's something going to happen, but he just, I'm next for the Universal title, and the show went off the air. I would have thought a spear, or something. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
This is boring.
I definitely was expecting more, and we didn't get it. But yeah, what do you expect? This is, WWE being like, these are our assets. We're not going to do anything stupid just before.
It's almost like WWE, look, this match was going to happen 2 years ago. You wanted it then, so you're going to get it now. And that's the build. Yep. We've seen the build to Chamber, which is basically, you guys are going to be in a Chamber match, and you're facing him. Be happy about it.
Yep.
So we get on to kickoff, and the well-known Jackie Redmond, Matt Camp, and Pete Rosenberg hosted this show in a studio from Stanford, and revealed that Rey Mysterio vs. Miz would be kickoff. Natalya was interviewed by Kevin Patrick. Backstage, she took issue with Rhea Ripley, referred to her as the Iron Woman. She didn't want to talk about someone who cat blocked her on Instagram, and she predicted Liv Morgan would win the match. We then get a video package of Lita and showed her training for the match. Now this is, if there's any reason to watch an hour kickoff, I know the matches, this training, which wasn't featured on the main card show, is Lita in the ring, trying different moves, going, that's not working, let's try it again. And it got me so excited. This was excellent,
Yeah, it just really showed how much enthusiasm she had at getting back in the ring, at, wanting to do what she loves best, and also just wanting to better herself. It was a great spot. It was a great segment. I'm kind of gutted they didn't really kind of repeat this onto the main show.
Yeah, if WWE do more of this, this is what's saying, especially with the people they got, like a Bobby Lashley or Brock Lesnar, or even with Rousey, seen it here, getting them ready and what train. It's just, it builds more excitement. And I think sometimes they think the match will pay off rather than doing memorable, videos or promos and stuff like that as well. But anyway, we're going to get onto it because we start off with, it's not a good night for us, I'm not going to lie. Michael Cole, Corey Graves and Byron Saxton are ringside, and Rey Mysterio versus The Miz is the very first match of the night. Well, The Miz slowed the pace, cutting his opponent down and working him over on the mat. It's of Dominic at ringside and proceeded to uncork a barrage kick to the chest of his opponents, but the elusive Mysterio caught Miz off guard, rocked with an elbow, sent him shoulder first into the ring post with a head scissors. A seated sentinel on a springboard crossbody earned a 2 count for the Master of the 619. But later in the match, Miz took a page from Eddie Guerrero's playbook, pretended to be struck by a steel chair by Dominic. The young competitor suddenly barred from ringside. It looked like The Miz had it all figured out and was going to win with the skull-crushing finale, but of course, The Miz is shit, so he got rolled up by Rey Mysterio for the loss. And after the match, if that wasn't bad enough, Rey and Dominic delivered a double 619, followed by a pair of frog splashes to pop the crowd. Jaxie, before I get your thoughts on this match, fuck The Miz.
I mean, you said it right there, because what the fuck? The one time I actually put my faith in you, Miz, and then what you do, you literally, I thought he had this one. I genuinely thought he had this one. I'm actually baffled. Like, The Miz has become, like, his full-time job is a jobber.
That's all it is. You know, like I said, it's an enjoyable
Yeah.
jobber. Don't get me wrong. He has good matches. This was a good match.
But not when I vote for him to win and he loses. Honestly, I'm so pissed off.
But the problem is, of course, the prediction leagues are starting. If anybody's listened to this for the first time, we do prediction leagues with WWE pay-per-views. And as you can tell, maybe, it didn't work out for us in that matchup. It's not. I mean, the crowd were really into it. And I should have realised Ray wearing a Saudi flag was a giveaway that he wasn't going to fucking lose.
Yeah, I mean, we're a bit silly for not actually thinking about that and putting that forward as a sort of nod and an ode to be like, just a heads up, guys, I'm winning.
I'm not making excuses. But I will say that if I'd have seen that and it had been kickoff, I would have switched to Ray at that point. You know?
Definitely.
But we can't. No point crying over spilt milk. Out of 5, what would you rate that match?
Oh my God, I'm going to be like really horrible. I just didn't really care for that match, if I'm truly honest. But I'm giving it a 2.5.
That's fine. I'm going to give it a 3.5. It wasn't a bad match. I think predictions, like we say, prediction leagues. We do WWE, AEW, and bonus points. And at this moment, I don't know if you could tell, but Jaxie and James both went for the Miz in that. Start off with big fat 0. Monty and Gina went for Ray, so they get the point. Poll-wise, we asked everybody...
They're not on this chat today. I couldn't deal with it.
To go behind the curtain a little bit, I mean, if you think what we said about the match is bad, then you should see the group chat it was like a Tarantino movie, I think we fair to say. Yeah. But anyway, poll-wise for this, who wins? Rey Mysterio got 64.5%. Kirk Taylor said Ray should win, and so did Nick as well. So not too bad when it comes to that. And then the main show, I didn't mind the opening promo, and I'm not completely sick of the chamber gimmick. I don't know about you.
Nah, I thought it was okay. It was like a fine opening. It's that, it kind of just after a while they all start to blur into one. So I didn't actually have an issue with the opening.
What about the chamber match in itself?
Which chamber match?
As in, just as a...
Oh, the actual thing.
Yeah.
No, I actually like the stipulation. I think it changes things up from what we usually get. We've got the whole Hell in a Cell gimmick. And that, when done right, is good. But I also agree with the Elimination Chamber that when done right, it's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm not completely sick of it, so I wasn't too bad to see. And then our first match to start was the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns versus Goldberg. Reigns starting the show again. Were you surprised he was kicking it off?
I am surprised that this was the match that was kicking it off. But at the same time, I'm not surprised that either Roman or Goldberg were like, let's just get this over and done with.
We don't think Goldberg's going to last. Goldberg's not going to last, all right? Let's get him out there first and get the job done. But great promo video between the two epic entrances as well. Michael Cole pointed out Reigns is on the longest title run in 35 years, and the only names with longer reigns are Pedro Morales, Bob Backlund, Bruno Sammartino, and, of course, Hulk Hogan. But before the match got started, Reigns grabbed the microphone and told the fans in Saudi Arabia to acknowledge him, which they did. And then we get the dreaded test of strength, with Reigns took control until Goldberg delivered a spear. He set up for the jackhammer, but Reigns countered doing the Uranagi for 2. The Tribal Chief tried for a spear on his own, but the veteran caught with one. The WWE Icon set up for another jackhammer, but Reigns countered with a guillotine choke. And the title holder tightened his grip on the head of his opponent, and after a minute of Goldberg attempt to escape, he passed out, and a referee called for the bell. What did you think?
I'm really not shocked by this ending. They're always wanting to protect, their big stars, and then they screw themselves over when they're like, oh gosh, who are we actually going to have win? So for some reason they decided, yeah, we're not going to make Goldberg lose because he wins every Saudi Arabia match because the Saudis love him. But then they're also not going to have him win against the likes of Roman Reigns, who is, one of the best champions at the moment and longest reigning, as you said. So, this was a big, massive eye roll for me. Like, I didn't expect Goldberg to win at all. But by doing this 50-50 booking, it's just so WWE. It just kind of, I can't help but just feel like WWE are really pathetic for always choosing the wimpish way out of things. Like, there are wrestlers out there that actually can take the loss, and yet they still won't do it. So I'm just baffled that anyone loses now, that unless they're The Miz.
But one interesting thing, this is the very first time Goldberg ever lost by submission. So Reigns can say that.
At least of course they're going to do it that way then. Like, it will make things, easier for them if they can go, oh yeah, like this has never happened to Goldberg before, but it's happened on a frequently regular basis when it comes to their actual current superstars.
I would agree, but I think for what it was, and you're going to hate me for saying, I think this delivered. What were we expecting? I was expecting Goldberg not to get him up for jackhammer, and maybe that's why they didn't even attempt it. But the spears, 3 or 4 spears, and that before anybody got injured, Reigns is fine. I'll take that. I will take that. I didn't mind it at all. For Goldberg, it's still a little bit, obviously, of the guy who was compared to what he is now. But I didn't mind.
Just a bit of a taste of Roman's own medicine. I would have actually enjoyed Brock coming out and just mind-fucking them in terms of just, I don't know, delivering a spear or an F5 to Goldberg and not Roman Reigns, so that Brock could come out, on the next SmackDown or Raw, whichever one he turns up on, and just goes, yeah, I helped you win.
Yeah, but how annoyed would you have been if Brock Lesnar had done that? You go, oh, he's helping him fucking win now. It's like, sometimes...
No, to be honest, I think I would have preferred that than Goldberg, running, just pretending that he just passed out. I don't know why. I just think that the whole pass out thing has just been so overused in WWE lately that it just, it doesn't excite me as much.
So, what are your scores? What are your score for that?
Well, I think overall, let me just quickly point out, I think the match was actually really good. I really enjoyed it, and it was probably one of Goldberg's more better matches that he's had in recent years. It's the ending that disappointed me the most. But that being said, I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.95. Bad. This wasn't bad. Predictions. We all went Reigns, so it means Monty and Gino on 2, James and Jaxie on 1. Poll-wise for this, who wins? Roman Reigns got 89% of it. But who's 10% of Goldberg? Who did that? And when we asked, who did that? And this is you're going to like, when we asked who wins, World Weary Guy says, well, the fans won't. And I said, you're not wrong there. You can't really argue with that, to be fair. So we move on, and up next, it's Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Doudrop, Liv Morgan, Nikki Ash, and Alexa Bliss battling inside the Elimination Chamber. And Bliss came out last, even though she started in the pod. That didn't make sense.
Oh, gosh, honestly, I was having a bit of a mare on Twitter because I was like, can someone explain this to me? Why both Nikki and Liv came out, and then Alexa Bliss, just for Alexa Bliss to go into the last pod. How did that make any sense whatsoever? It was, oh my gosh, it was baffling. It's just like the whole watching the TV from the side sort of thing. Like, what are you doing?
Well, we get a swing in her pod as just to make things more, and we get Morgan and Nikki Ash kicking off the action with a new competitor joining the fray every 2 minutes. Used to be 5, cut down to 2. I was a little bit surprised at this, but we will continue. And Nikki controlled the opening minutes of the bout, but the rival Doudrop was third entrant, halted the momentum. It was only when she rushed at Scott, they collided with one of the pods, that superhero wannabe was neutralised. Ripley entered fourth, setting her sights on a former partner Nikki. She bounced her friend's face off the steel, sending her crashing to the ground. And then the Riptide followed, and Ripley scored the first elimination of the match. Bliss, who was the winner of the very first Women's Chamber match in 2018, entered next. Took the fight to her opponent. She took Ripley down with a Hurricane Runner, delivered a nice double new moonsault to the midsection of Morgan. Morgan recovered, did the sunset flip powerbomb to Doudrop, and scored the elimination. Belair then exploded into the match as the last entrant, took the fight to half. She then delivered an awe-inspiring one-armed gorilla press slam to Morgan. Just looked so kind of, yeah, I can pick someone up with one arm, and then threw her back in the ring as well. Belair is incredible.
She really is. This was just so impressive. Miss Belair, if you're listening, if you want to, bench press me, I'm quite thin and I'm small, and I think that would be really fun just to get weight lifted by you. So please do give me a call if you ever want to do that, because that just looked insane. She's got such an incredible amount of strength, and I have no idea how she manages to kind of get through a lot of these matches and not come out the winner, because she just looks incredible.
It's just pure power as well. It is mental what we're seeing. We see deliver Spinebuster Bliss, and then we get 10 stare down with Ripley. Momentum has a chance of This Is Awesome rain from the stands. After someone upship, Belair and Ripley unload on each other. Morgan then do a double co-breaker only for Bliss to take her down and send her packing with Twisted Bliss. Of course, Morgan eliminated there. Shortly after, Belair delivered a KOD on the Nightmare to end her match, leaving Belair and Bliss. Blair powerbomb Bliss into the side of the chamber several times before missing a 450 splash. Look, let's try this set up for a DDT, but the EST fought out. Tried for a standing moonsault, but Bliss got her knees up. We get more tense back and forth action, gave way to a KOD, and a big victory for Bianca Belair. She will be going to WrestleMania. But sometimes it was like they were just running through it as quickly as possible. Why not give it more time to breathe? But what were your thoughts on this match?
I mean, I agree with you there, but I also think that there were just multiple different moments where each woman got a chance to shine, and there were just some really great spots here. I want to give Liv Morgan a bit of a heads up, because she had such a great move against, I think it was both Doudrop and Bianca Belair. It might have been someone else, but there was just an awesome spot that she did that I thought was really good just shortly before Alexa Bliss then took advantage and gave her the Twisted Bliss. But I just think that there were some great spots. I think that this women's match was really enjoyable, and I think it really showcased each woman very well. There's so many different strengths that they all brought to the Elimination Chamber.
I think you bang on the money there. I think what we're seeing, especially in women's matches more, is them getting their moments. I mean, you can argue maybe Doudrop didn't, but even Morgan, had a little bit of a moment. And Ripley, just looks great as well, even the reaction she gets. I thought it was really, really good. 4 out of 5.
Do you know what? I really did enjoy this match, so I'm gonna give it a 4 3/4. No, a 4 1/4. Sorry.
I'm gonna give it a 4. Like I said, really, really good stuff. Predictions all Belair. So I'm not gonna keep saying it. I'm not gonna give Monty and Gina the satisfaction of saying that they are a point ahead of us. I will just let you know they've gone different. Poll-wise on there, we've got who wins. Liv, Nikki and Doudrop got 2.4% altogether. Ripley 7%, Alexa Bliss 42%, Bianca Belair 47%. A lot of people there as well with the votes going for Bianca Belair. And then up next, it was Naomi and Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte and Sonya Deville. Naomi, what an entrance that was. I actually put banger here, because the full glow gear. I thought, why didn't she wear that all the time? How good did that look?
It looked amazing, and you just saw how the crowd just really were into her, and just listening to that big pop that kind of comes with her entrance music as well. Just the whole aesthetic of it just looks great. And she's just got like such a great presence that so many people will just all kind of look to her anyway. Then you take out the lights and you just let her glow, you let her shine, and you're just like, okay, this girl's unstoppable.
I think without doubt, we saw the entrance. I'm like, I hope she wears that more often. Like I said, just getting better, the entrance, getting people behind her, and she's delivering in ring as well. And the interesting thing, we've seen lots of women, of course, at the chamber at this event, different attires, because of course you're not allowed to show in, so that's why you've got to have the kind of. I think some of it really worked, especially like Rhea Ripley, just didn't look any different, and always talk about Naomi as well. But Ronda Rousey wore her G, which I thought exposing your feet, is that allowed? But again, I don't know what the rules are. Like.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure about that. I thought she looked really cool, but at the same time, I was just a bit like, what? Why does she look so different? It's almost like she was like trying to take a rebellious stance. That being said, I also still think that she came across looking very like MMA and martial arts professional type. So that probably gave off like a really good effect to the audience. So I think she did I think it did the job,
I think the thing with Ronda as well is that people might say like, well, who you did see, and she's like, yeah, I won my bronze medal at the Olympics and this motherfuckers, so you go, all right, fair enough. We see Rousey starting the match with Deville. I've heard of a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest, but I never heard of a two one-armed women in a fight. But Deville was playing a ruse, and Ronda found herself in a defensive following a cheap shot from Flair. And we see Charlotte and Deville dominating the former Raw Women's was then able to appropriately defend herself with, of course, one arm free. Much needed tag to Naomi Sparks to come back for the babyfaces as she unloaded a corkscrew plancher to Flair. A big kick from Deville returned the advantage to the heels before Naomi unloaded a kick and made a tag back to the baddest woman on the planet. And she fought through the disadvantage, delivered a Piper's Pit and tapped Deville out, all with one arm. If anything was proven here, Ronda Rousey can beat anybody. And usually, even with one arm tied behind her back.
Clearly. I'm not trying to badmouth this match because I thought that it was good in certain spots. I think that Naomi's hot tag was really great. I just that we're all forgetting that sort of the main reason why we were getting this match is because of the mistreatment from Naomi, and yet she gets the hot tag but doesn't get to do the pin. This baffled me. I'm just like, and it baffled me mainly because, we all know that Ronda can tap anyone out. We all know Ronda probably can beat every single woman on this roster. There was no need for her to tap Sonya out. There was no need. All it was to be building up this match between Charlotte and Ronda. That doesn't need any of that attention because they're going to get it anyway. They're two massive stars. So what? You couldn't give Naomi the win? I was a bit bitter here. For me, that annoyed me. But I'm a stickler for continuity when it comes to matches.
What did you think of the match overall, anyway? Because this again just showcased Rousey, but at least Naomi did get the win.
I mean, it did showcase Rousey. Naomi got the win. Naomi got like the hot tag, which you could just hear the pop from the crowd. They really just wanted to see her like just be unleashed. But it just ended too quick, her little hot tag. And then she was tagging back in Ronda, which was really disappointing. I was hoping, she was going to get the hot tag and get the pin, So yeah, I would have done things differently here. I thought the match itself was good. Ronda, just impressed everyone wrestling one-handed. But I mean, from my point of view, we all knew she could do this. So there's not really much of a surprise. It would have come more of a surprise being like, yeah, sit on that, Sonya, because you just got pinned by Naomi again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Score it out of 5.
I'm going to give it a 4. I thought it was a good match. I thought that the stipulation for Ronda was good. I'm glad that Naomi won, so I'm trying not to complain too much. I just think it would have been a much sweeter deal to have allowed her to have gotten the pin too.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I'm going to give it 3.75 out of 5. That's a good match. Predictions all went Rousey and Naomi. Poll-wise for this, Rousey and Naomi got 80% of the votes. I think we all know where that was going to go. And then we get the Falls Count Anywhere match. Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. And McIntyre had promised a Madcap Mauling, and boy, did he deliver. The Scott Faulkner Hill up the entrance ramp and then back to the ring. And in the moment probably most memorable all night, he delivered a verse Alabama Slam, spiking Madcap Moss on his head. How did that not kill him?
Oh, God, that just looks super painful. I was really cringing here. It was just such a scary moment to watch. I'm instantly just thinking about his head, and I'm just, as much as I consistently discuss that, I'm just so annoyed and over the whole Happy Corbin Madcap Moss thing. Same time, I don't wish that on anyone, and that just kind of reminded me of Lance Archer and the way that he had sort of landed on his head. I was just praying that there wasn't going to be any actual damage.
Well, this is the thing, and it reminded me more of when Owen Hart jumped with Stone Cold there, because it's another guy kind of doing the move for you, and especially when you've kind of got no control and your head hits that hard. Obviously, Brock at WrestleMania as well lands on his head, but I mean, this was crazy, and you can see, Corbin playing, referees checking him, and then as soon as he got on, he's all right. They're like, right, show the fucking replay, show that.
Yeah, they kept slowing it down, and I was like, do you want to make us any more uncomfortable? Like, God,
it's not enough. It's not enough. And just McIntyre could have taken it easy. And I'm not saying he's dangerous. He's not dangerous at all. But he launched Moss over with an over suplex on the floor, then sent him over the announce table as well. Corbin joined in the former champ in the guardrail, but McIntyre recovered. He cleared his roll from ringside with his sword, and then flattened Moss with a claymore with sword in hand for the pinfall victory. But fair play, Moss. It's a stupid gimmick, but he has got a huge toughness.
Yeah. Again, this match was okay. I think my biggest shock came from when he decided to deliver the claymore with the sword in his hand. I genuinely thought he was about to decapitate him. I was like,
Moss thought that?
In his head. Yeah, probably, maybe, because I was just thinking, you already dropped him on his head. Why are you still carrying that sword? It was a little bit terrifying, to be honest. But yeah, I enjoyed the match. I thought it was good. I think I paid more attention to it because of the Madcap Moss dropped himself on his head.
At that point, I'm thinking, because again, it's horrible to say, but when there's something that happens, you go, oh shit, might never ever get shown ever again, if you know what I mean, if it's that bad. And again, we don't want to watch, I don't want to see Droz getting injured by D-Lo, do you know what I mean? I don't want to see Owen Hart falling, I don't want to see that, but you
exactly.
think...
I didn't want to see Ray Fenix's arm get, go all the way back, and I am very grateful to AEW because they didn't replay it.
Yeah, like I said it. And I think they might have done, but then again, you weren't watching, so it's like I said, it's viewer discretion.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely turned around.
Yeah. I mean, it was alright, this match, but it meant nothing. We're getting Corbin versus McIntyre at Mania. I mean, this is the same Drew McIntyre.
Oh, but you don't understand how annoyed I am by that.
He's fought for the WWE Championship. WWE title last 2 years, and Roman Reigns the year before. How annoying.
Yeah. I don't understand why this is needed at Mania. This could be done on the Raw before Mania, and I wouldn't care. Like, this is why we're getting 2 nights worth of stuff for bullshit matches like this that no one asked for.
Well, this is WWE's problem with heels. And yeah, you might have a couple of good top level heels, but apart from that, it's bollocks. And if you think Happy Corbin is like a legit threat, and I know people can go, well, we retired Kurt Angle. Fuck off. Baron Corbin has been a joke.
I mean, I still think that's bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
That was
the same for a very long time. Out of 5, though, what are you going to score it?
2.
I'm going to give it 3.5 because there's not many times you see a man landing on his head and coming out the other end, and it gave him respect. I mean, I was like, fair play. Predictions, we all went Drew. Poll-wise, a couple of polls have been really, really one way. Yeah, McIntyre, 88%. So more people thought Madcap Moss was going to win than Goldberg versus Reigns. Take that as you will.
I mean, what are they thinking? Thinking that. Whoever voted that, I'm sorry, but you do need to actually go back and watch some previous Raws and Smackdowns and actually see what Happy Corbin's been doing, and then come back to me and tell me that you genuinely think Corbin's going to win.
We appreciate everybody who participates in any poll on the WNR podcast. The views of Jaxie are Jaxie's herself and shouldn't be viewed by anybody else.
Yeah.
That's how well I did there. I thought, I've done this before.
I'm pretty sure he's got like a little piece like of paper that is called the Jaxie disclaimer.
Let's do it after every show. No,
yeah.
We get a backstage interview with The Miz, talking about being cheated out of a win against Rey Mysterio. Miz said he would find a tag partner who's a global superstar to help him fight Dom and Ray. And spoiler alert, it is Logan Paul.
Oh my God, no!
Yeah.
Are you serious?
No,
you're genuinely serious. I thought you were taking the piss out of me then.
No, I'm deadly serious. That tag match has been set for WrestleMania now.
Well, fuck you, Ben.
Started so well. Well, let's
have Bad Bunny instead.
Well, exactly. Apparently,
the match.
Bad Bunny concert don't sound bad because he's bringing the Undertaker out in American Badass, so I'll take that over watching a Logan Paul match.
Me too. I think a lot of people would.
I think that. Well, like we said, it's been a lot of shenanigans, a lot of funny things here tonight, but this match in itself deserves undivided seriousness and attention. It's a Raw Championship match. Lita versus Becky Lynch, and the veteran outsmarted and out-wrestled an overconfident Lynch early, but big-time Bex turned the tide in her favour by hanging her up on the top rope. She pounded away at the Hall of Fame, rocked her with a back elbow, and caught her with a spinning back kick, but her leg dropped from the middle of the rope to the surgically-repaired neck of her opponent, had the title holder rolling. Lynch delivered two Bex blows with suplexes, but a third was countered as Lita drove her face first into the mat. The exchange of rights brought to this match, and the pair of clotheslines stunned the champion. Crossbody earned the challenger a near fall as the crowd came alive. A pair of roll-ups ensued for Lita attempt to grab a hold of a sleeper. Lynch wriggled her way free, making to the ropes, forcing a break, but when Lita scaled the ropes to the moonsault, big-time Bex wisely rolls to the floor. The challenger slammed Lynch into the commentary table, but Lynch then hung her opponent up in the ropes for the second time in the match. Lita broke out a stratosphere in honour of Trish Stratus, but could not keep Lynch down. Big time Bex recovered and applied the armbar, but Lita fought off the champ, transitioned to the manhandle slam, but Lita draped her foot on the bottom rope, breaking the count. Moments later, Lynch mocked Lita's moonsault, but came up empty. The challenger delivered a twist of fate, followed by the moonsault, only to get a 2.95. The shot kick out opened Lita up for one more manhandle slam as Lynch narrowly retained her championship. What were your thoughts on this?
Well, this was fucking brilliant, wasn't it? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like, I thought the title was going to change hands. But at one point, I genuinely did just have like a little bit of hint of excitement at the thought of, damn, can Lita actually win this? I mean, if we're going to go back to the Attitude Era and go back to me as a little girl watching wrestling growing up, some of the iconic women that I followed back then were the likes of Chyna and Lita, and she just didn't miss a beat. Oh my gosh, I could watch Lita in matches now with these up to date, sort of current women on the roster, and still be blown away by the type of moves that she can still do at her age. I'm just so impressed and in awe at Lita. I would have been exactly like the Saudi crowd and just still cheering her on as if she is a champion, because that's how she came across, a straight up champion.
Without that, like I said, twist of fate, up for the moonsault. I thought, she's not going to do it. And then Lynch kicked out, but you're thinking, fucking hell. And this is what I love about wrestling. I remember back in 2000, I think it was, Triple H was champion. He faced Taka Michinoku. And I thought Taka was going to win at one point. Is how good the performances are for both wrestlers. And Lita made me believe on Saturday. I honestly, for a second, I thought how good the performance was, how good the match. And Lynch does a lot of things that annoy me. But I can't blame the effort she put in this match as well, you know?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've got to admit that the match between the two, it was just like a dream match that actually delivered. You know, you could tell that both women were enjoying wrestling one another, but you could also tell the amount of effort both of them were putting into it. It was just really great to see. I enjoyed it so much.
I mean, the thing is Lita was excellent. Mm-hmm. And when Edge returned, everybody kept saying, oh, how great he looked and how great he is. But Lita deserves the same treatment. You know, and one of the things I really liked about it was being able to take a bow. And I don't know if that was scripted or not, but the fans were so invested in her, giving her a round of applause after that match. If that doesn't show WWE that Lita's got one more run in her, then they don't deserve her. You know, let her go to AEW and have, you know, matches that we know she can deliver.
Yeah, exactly. And I have to agree with you 100% on that. I really do think she has, like, you know, one more decent run in her, like, where she can hold the title. And I would love to see it around her waist. I really would.
It was a moment in wrestling because, like you said, we've seen so many wrestlers from the past come back and been so disappointed. And Lita on this night, you know, created magic with Becky Lynch, and it was a sight to be seen. There's no, this is head and shoulders my match of the night over everything. I'm going to give this a 4 3/4 out of 5. The only reason it's not really getting a 5 for me is because maybe there's a little bit more build up and not Saudi Arabia. But again, everything else was perfect. What were you going to score this?
I'm going exactly the same as you. I think that this was just brilliant storytelling. I think that if we had got it at a different pay-per-view with much more build-up, I think that it could have been a 5 rating match. But I'm going to give it a 4 3/4.
Yeah, and if WWE doesn't say it, I will. Thank you, Lita, for that as well.
Thank you, Lita. That was amazing.
The predictions, we all went Lynch, so anybody paying attention, you know what that fucking means. Poll-wise, Becky Lynch, 81% of the vote. And again, like you said, yes, Lynch was going to win, but when you get caught up in it, that is what's magic. So, you know, like we say, sometimes, you know, it can be. But this is what wrestling is about. And one of my earliest memories as well, watching wrestling, was seeing The Undertaker. And The Undertaker has been announced for the Hall of Fame. Like we said, the same week as Austin was going to come out of retirement, Cody left AEW, they announced The Undertaker for the Hall of Fame with an epic video. For me, there's no more special to me than The Undertaker. Again, how do we broach it? The Undertaker and the Hall of Fame. It's just meant to be, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, you can't fault it. You know, we expected this to happen at some point. He would have been in the Hall of Fame much earlier on if he wasn't, you know, doing one-off matches and coming back for them and stuff like that. So I think this is well-deserved and something that I'm really looking forward to seeing. You know, I think we've discussed, especially if anyone's listened to our previous WrestleManias and stuff, we've had discussions where we're baffled as to why someone's being inducted in. This, on the other hand, is something that is very much well-deserved, and I'm just very pleased and over the moon for him.
I can't take credit for this idea, but I thought it was excellent, and I will find who said it on Twitter to me. They said, just imagine, though, having just The Undertaker as the inductee for this year's Hall of Fame.
Do you know what? That would be fine, because this has become a sort of novelty joke in the first place. You've got the likes of freaking Donald Trump in there, you know? Like, it starts to make things a little more cheaper when non-wrestlers have actually made it to the Hall of Fame. You know, this is something that I used to take seriously watching, especially back towards the Attitude Era. But when you look at some of the previous inductees over the past few years, more recent years, it's been a bit questionable, kind of thinking like, well, what have they done really? Is it just because they've served this amount of years in the company or what?
It'll be interesting. Like I said, if he is just the one act, that would be perfect. I mean, you can have a few other legacy awards and whatever, but you don't need, Kevin Nash going in for the fourth time if you've got The Undertaker going in first. You just leave it like that. And like I said, let him talk for as long as he wants. He's probably got an hour of stuff to say on his induction speech. So, that's what it's all about. Someone probably not going into the Hall of Fame is the Viking Raiders. They made their way to the ring. The Usos attacked, and the match didn't even take place. They travelled all that way. They travelled 20 hours to get attacked on the way. And again, I hate saying it, but the Raiders probably will be released in the next round of cuts. Were you surprised that we didn't even get a match?
Yes, I was. I had just sent a tweet as well. I look like the biggest idiot on the planet right now because I made a tweet saying about, well, okay, maybe they'll do a little bit better because of, they delivered so poorly on their individual sort of singles matches. No, they just made a fool of me.
Yeah. Well,
they didn't even get any of their entrances. I'm sorry, but do you not think that, especially for the Usos and their day one entrance, do you not think that a lot of people would have gotten sort of hyped up off of it and stuff because of, in my opinion, yes, they would. And I just don't understand how or why we were given this.
No, didn't make any sense whatsoever to do that. Poll-wise for that, the Usos got 72%, even though the match didn't happen. So we moved straight on to the main event, which is Bobby Lashley putting his WWE Championship on the line against AJ Styles, Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, Riddle, and Brock Lesnar. In the main event, of course, to be in the main event of WrestleMania 38. Well, the fireworks and the cameraman didn't care for Bobby's entrance. I think it's the most pathetic. Like, the firework went and just died on him. Bobby said he's been in the chamber before. That match was December to Dismember, which is probably known as one of the worst pay-per-views in WWE history. I don't know about you as well. The entrances took fucking ages. I'm going to say this in Goldberg versus Reigns, but the women's chamber and the men's chamber entrances were longer than the actual matches.
Yeah, I mean, again, with this whole, because they did it for the men's as well, where they had Brock come out last, but he was also in a pod, but Seth and Matt Riddle were already in the ring. It's like, they just make some real questionable, decisions. And they're not always for the better. You might think that just because we're talking about it, it means that, you've done something right. But this whole stipulation with having the person that is in the last pod come out last makes no sense. And then you just have these matches that you actually can remember the entrances for more than the actual match because of how long their entrances went compared to the match itself. That's not good.
Honestly, it was so long and boring after a while. I was just like, AJ's making its way, but just cut straight into it. Don't need to pose in the ring. Just the entrance. You're going to do it. And Riddle with the flip-flop fail, which is not easy to say. And like I said, Rollins and Theory started the contest because why not? Theory answered with a four-way slam after some shots, and the fight spilled outside. The visionary launched his younger rival into Lashley's pod with a powerbomb, breaking through the plexiglass and injuring the champion in the process. Riddle next, pairing off with Rollins, renewing their rivalry. The former Universal Champ delivered a jarring reverse suplex off the top rope for a near fall as medics and trainers and W officials assisted and apparently injured Lashley out of his pod and out of the chamber. Now, Jaxie, I know you've been saying a lot of stuff in this show, but I got to say, this kind of shit makes me sick because you are cheating the crowd at this point. WWE knew that Bobby Lashley needed shoulder surgery. They knew after the Royal Rumble, and yet they've stuck this there. It's false advertisement, and it's not fair.
It really is. And it is also just like another spot that could have gone to any of those that we listed earlier, you know? I do have to actually put this in because this didn't come from me, but I actually spoke obviously with my sister, with Gina, and I wanted to actually put in what she said about this match, even though she's not on here, but I'm going to speak on behalf of her because I thought what she said had a bit of a valid point. They could have easily spun this storyline about, you know, Bobby Lashley's injury and have it so that MVP decides to optionally take Bobby Lashley out of the running, even though he's just won the title back, saying that he doesn't want him injured more and leave him off the table more. This could cause any future issues between MVP and Bobby Lashley if they wanted to go that way in the future. But this could also, like, you know, sort of bring up the idea of an interim champion, so to speak, just saying, like, it doesn't have to actually be like that, but they could have played about with it where you actually have MVP being the one that's like, nope, I'm not doing this to you. Look at how well they promote. Well, actually, do you know what? It's not even look at how well. Look at the consistency that they held with Becky Lynch. The moment she realized that she was pregnant, they actually said, let's put that in the storyline. Let's actually tell everyone, do you know what? You're pregnant. So that's why you're not going to be fighting. Why can't you just give us fans the respect of telling us, look, Bobby Lashley is injured. You could have MVP actually be the one to be like, Bobby, I'm taking you out this match. As your manager, I am taking you out this match. I do not want you injured and on the shelf even much longer. You could have put someone else in that chamber pod, and then you could have actually crowned a new champion. And you would have had like 2-3 weeks worth of build up towards it to actually make it more exciting, to make people want to actually check out the pay-per-view to see who would become the winner. Yeah.
No, like I said, it's an excellent point, and it makes you think that WWE don't care. And even the spot itself wasn't that great, and it's simple. Even if you know, don't have if you want them in a chamber, that's just crazy to have one in a chamber. Just have a very simple.
Did Bobby look?
Well,
How weak did he look?
It's just a backstage segment with a wrestler, called him Wrestler A, standing above Bobby, who's there holding his arm and saying, I've just taken out Bobby Lashley, let me in the chamber match. And then guess what? In 4 months' time when Bobby's back, he's got a reason to come back and fight someone. And it will be the guy that apparently injured him. It's simple storytelling. They don't even bother.
Honestly, it really is. It's baffling.
It's Bobby versus Plexiglass at SummerSlam is how annoyed, you know, he's getting for what the Chamber did. And it's crazy. Anyway, moving on in the match, Styles entered next and took the fight to all three remaining. With opponents perched on the top rope, a recovered Theory brought Rollins and Styles down with a double powerbomb. Riddle delivered the floating bro, wiping Theory out. The clock counted down, and when it was revealed was in concussion protocol, Lesnar kicked his way out of the pod and then immediately eliminated Rollins, Riddle, and Styles. Well, shit. Before I get your thoughts on him destroying these three, the rumours, and again, I don't know how true this is, this wasn't planned. Like, the referee's looking at Brock, who's kicking through. He wasn't meant to come out at that time, and he decided, fuck it, I'm doing it now. And you even see in the ring, I think Theory waving up the other guys and saying, "Come on, it's or, you know, Rollins saying, it's time now," as in to go through what happened. What were your thoughts?
Wow. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes, like, these things have to be sort of made up and just kind of randomly done on the spot, especially when things go wrong. But if that wasn't supposed to happen, what the hell are you doing, Brock? Like, just like, you know, we're already getting a much shorter match because they decided to take Bobby out, and you're telling me that you couldn't be bothered to just play along with the storyline that they had going for you, which is to wait until the very end and just be annoyed at the fact that Bobby Lashley is not in there, and yet they still do this. It's just baffling.
And the thing is, it's 2 minutes for every entrant, and it used to be 5. So that would
wait another 2 minutes?
Well, by the time the match finished, in the old chamber match, it would only been the third entrant coming out.
Wow. That's saying something.
Probably my maths is wrong. Someone's going to say it's a fourth or fifth, but shut up. But again, that is saying so. We'll move on quickly. This left Austin Theory with Brock Lesnar. If you had that in your, who was going to be with Brock, probably wouldn't have gone well. Lesnar obliterated the young competitor with suplex, but Theory delivered a low blow and a rolling drop kick and DDT. It annoyed the Beast, but showed that Vince cared.
Because I would have used all of those tactics to try and get him down. I really would have.
Well, like I said, at least it worked. It showed Vince cared. And then Theory climbed the chamber, but Lesnar followed and proceeded to bash his face into the plexiglass side. And then, again, Brock Lesnar's a lot of stuff that you can argue about. But the F5 off the top, and fair play to Austin Theory to take it. I know it's more padded now than it used to be, but bloody hell, Theory eliminated, and your new WWE champion, Brock Lesnar, Mr. 10-time. Chamber is 20 years old. It's the same as Brock's debut as well. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, but this was just such a disappointment. It really was. Again, I think we talked about it a lot when it comes to the whole sort of Bobby Lashley injury. At first, none of us were really aware, so I felt like this was really poor booking, really poor 50-50 booking, that they were just trying to get take the title back off of Bobby, and that, you know, that's how they were going to be keeping things. After hearing, obviously, that he genuinely is injured, I can understand that a lot more. But it's still just like, it's just really lazy booking. It really was lazy booking, and it just annoyed me so much that the women's Elimination Chamber match actually came across better for me.
But this is what
I felt like this was so poor.
This is what we're getting, you know, and it seems that Rumble match, the women's was much better, even it'd be the Money in the Bank, the spots and the time. You know, the men's one is just like, well, Brock's going to go out and smash everybody, you know, and that is what the Rumble and the Chamber has been.
They did. Yeah, they kind of wanted to do what they did with Shayna that one year, where they made her look really good and dominant and stuff. However, this just kind of didn't work, because you just like sort of pissed it out with the whole Lashley thing in the first place. You pissed people off right there and then, you know.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that my sister's idea about you know, kind of having MVP be the one that actually pulls him out of it was a great idea. I'm quite disappointed actually that she came up with it and they didn't. So I just wish that they had done that, you know. Instead they didn't. We got to deal with it. I really hope that Bobby Lashley comes back soon, but as much as it looks like he won't even turn up at WrestleMania. So I'm just hoping come SummerSlam he's still in the running for the title picture and can come back into like a good push again.
Well, on Raw, they announced that Brock Lesnar would defend his WWE title against Bobby Lashley at MSG at the start of March. And then Heyman said if Lashley can't make it, he'll name a suitable replacement. So again, bait and switch. You're trying to sell the Lashley-Lesnar match. That is never going to happen.
Why are we doing that? If we were going to actually have them, like, have Lashley return much earlier than he was expected, I'd expect him to be joined into this and make a triple threat for this title at, you know, WrestleMania. But I just don't agree with, oh yeah, we'll give Bobby a separate match, you know, at some point down the line. Like, don't bother to say anything until he's returned, and then just have Bobby Lashley come out and do what he does best and slay everyone until he actually gets the title shot he's meant to have. You know?
Yeah, I would agree with that. What are you going to score the men's chamber match out of 5?
I'm sorry, I'm going to be really cynical. I'm going to give it a 3.
I'm going to give it a 4. I don't think it was too bad. A fair play for Theory for that bump. But Elimination Chamber should just be called Brock and Ronda beat everybody. That would be a lot easier. Poll-wise, we asked Brock Lesnar 58%, Bobby Lashley 29%, Seth Rollins 10%. So I mean that was pretty close between the two in that one. Even though I think we all went Brock. Here we go, Jax. We're gonna have to deal with this now. So final scores: James and Jaxie on 6, Monty and Gina with. Well, I'm gonna give it to them. I'm gonna give it them because obviously we didn't get the Usos match. They both got 7 out of 7, which is a score, and more annoyingly, get a bonus point as well. So what does that mean for prediction leagues? Well, bonus league. Monty and Gina both join you, Jaxie, on 5 points.
Damn it! I knew this was going to happen.
They got the perfect score. I can't do anything. Them the rules. I am still in the lead with 6, but the pay-per-view league is very, very bad. James on 0. 0 for 3. But don't worry, because people who've listened to this for years knows I have never lost a WrestleMania prediction. Never, ever. And it ain't happening in 2022. So James will be on the board.
I'm literally going to be praying for you that you don't.
Well, I tell you something, Monty is 3 for 3. So we need to stop him. I'll be nice to his face, but between you and me and Gina, let's get him. He has to be stopped. Right? You, Gina, and yourself are both on 2. So if we can beat Monty, you can join in the lead with him at Mania, and then we can be there. But again, the prediction league is so crazy because we get points for who wins the leagues. Our AEW prediction league starts next week as well, with, of course, Revolution. So that'll be a whole other kettle of fish.
I know, but do you know what? People might not know this yet, but I rarely lose at AEW pay-per-views. So let's bring it. I am ready, and I'm bringing my A game.
Jaxie and James, we're not giving predictions. We're giving spoilers. She's gonna win AEW. I'm winning at Mania. We're gonna be back in it.
Yeah, we go. Watch the space, people. Watch it.
You watch it. So for
James, if we end up at both at the lowest at the end of the year, whoever asks, just tell them you don't need to remind us that we lost. Okay?
No,
we're just gonna ignore it.
What's the best thing is even if we are at the end, towards the end of the year, we still got year-end predictions that we won't remember, and there'll be points galore. So even when we think we're at the end of the year, we still got that to go.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. At least we know we've got a way of being able to potentially get back up there.
It ain't over till it's over.
Yeah.
But anyway, we look at Elimination Chamber. Match of the night has got to be up by Lynch by a country mile, I think it'd be fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree with you right there because that was all that was in my mind. That was the match of the night. It was just brilliant. Perfect.
MVP of the night?
I'm going to go with Bianca Belair. That single-handed press was just incredible. So, yeah, Bianca.
I'm going to go Lita because, like I said, that performance that she had as well was just incredible. And finally, rating out of 10.
This is a tough one. I'm going to give it a 7.
You're going to give it 7?
Yep.
I'm going to give it an 8.5. Just because usually with paper, you look at it, what happened in it, was anything worthwhile? Yes, Brock Lesnar won the WWE Championship. And if you want a cracking match, you've got Lita versus Lynch. And if you're interested, Reigns and Goldberg at the start wasn't too bad either. And like I said, even the Women's Chamber match delivered. So I think overall wasn't a bad show. But like you said, the problem is we know what they can do. And it's just not clicking at the moment. So maybe that changes at Mania.
Yeah, I mean, I really do hope that this does sort of change, but yeah, right now it's just kind of not there.
Well, we asked everybody what they the chamber, and the results basically people went for good over great, awesome, and okay. And there were 2 amazing facts from the chamber as well. One of them is that Roman Reigns has beaten everyone who's ever held a Universal title. Of course, Universal title from 2016. He's beaten everyone that's held that title since. I know what people are going to say. Seth Rollins wasn't pinned, but he still retained his title, so forget about it. Then the second, I've already done this, and then the second one is it's an amazing fact because we talk about, of course, black WWE champions, and in the history of WWE, just the WWE title, there's been 4. We've had The Rock, Kofi, Big E, and Bobby Lashley. And what all 4 have in common now is they were all beaten for the WWE Championship by Brock Lesnar. Yeah.
That does not surprise me whatsoever.
That is just astonishing. You know, like...
I mean, I don't even know, like, kind of how to react to that, apart from just saying a big, very fuck you to Vince. Like, I don't really know what else to say.
And on that note, we are going to leave it there.
Yeah,
I think
probably that.
There is no more. We're going to have much more away soon. Like we said, we've got AEW Revolution. We're going to have nice Jaxie back. Yeah!
Yay! I think I was pretty nice tonight. I gave it my best shot.
No, hey, well, you can only do what you do. You know, if it comes out negative or positive, we'll find out later. You know, we probably slated it. I didn't mind the show overall, but again, it's the minute detail that we go in. And that is it for today's show.
I gave it a 7, so yeah. I think that was a pretty good rating from myself.
Well, the thing is, if you're really trying to be negative about WWE, you would have hated the Lita, like I said, Lita Lynch match. You would have rated really low. So that's how I know. Some people are just like, fuck WWE for no reason. You have a lot of reasons where I can't argue. It's the equivalent of, I left my boyfriend because of, what reasons are you leaving for? You give me a list of 20, I'm starting to think it was a good choice. You know? So that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like that. But before we go, and we haven't done this in ages, but Full of the Week. This is a special one to Fun Guy Mark, at MarkyMark1982. He messaged us on the Twitter, and we started a conversation. He thought we were cool, and we think you're cool, so you're the follower of the week. And don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter, at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNRJR. Jaxie, where can people find you, apart from in the banner of the WNR Podcast as well on Twitter?
Of course. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Jaxie Scarlett.
Excellent. And we are on Facebook and Instagram across all going platforms. Send us an email, the Podcast at gmail.com, and YouTube, the Podcast, with all the latest clips and podcasts got at the same time on YouTube. And do SoundCloud on your phone, and also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review. So that is it. And Jaxie, hang on a minute, I've got some massive earth-shattering news. If the rumours are true, the next show on the WNR Podcast will be the return of the Ultimate One, who has not been seen in these parts since Halloween.
Serious? Oh, that's going to be very exciting. How the Ultimate One is going to have to deal with me and Gina, I don't know. We'll soon find out. That's exciting, though.
Yeah, well, like I said, I don't know if he's up for AEW. This might change. The whole thing might change. He's definitely joining for Impact. We know coming up. And
okay,
we hope
good.
He can join us.
Yeah. I mean, you know, any way to get sort of him back on board, that would be fun for me. So watch this space, and hopefully we'll hear more from him soon.
Yeah, we're out of doubt. But don't worry, you're going to hear more from Monty, Gina, and Jaxie. Of course, like we said, AEW Revolution pre-show, March 6th, with the entire team. WNR. I was going to ask you win, but you've already talking smack about winning predictions, so I would say.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's it. And what a fun episode it has been. I have been James Valens and was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Thank you again for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me again. And thank you for putting up with my sporadic negative comments, but of course we all love them, so
we wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you very much to you, and thanks everyone for listening. Have a good one. Bye.